If you are a fan of softball, you are going to love the Fastpitch TV show. From softballjunk.com, we're bringing you more softball than anyone on the planet. Sit back and get ready. Here's the Fastpitch TV show.
Hello, I'm Gary Leland, and this is the Fastpitch TV show. Make sure and take a look at all my videos, blogs, and softball information on my website at www.fastpitch.tv. The Fastpitch TV website brings you more free softball information than anyone on the planet. Now today I bring you something a little different. It's episode 1 in my new series, the Fastpitch Softball History. Now, while I was at the 2015 Women's College World Series, I was joined by Fastpitch softball legend, Dr. Richardson. And you're going to be amazed at some of the softball greats that joined us on this series of shows. This is brand new what we're putting together. Now, in this episode, Dot tells us a little bit about her beginnings in softball, how her adventure started. Now, let's go to the show right after this short message about my Fastpitch magazine.
Oops, sorry, I was reading this month's issue of the Fastpitch magazine. What? You're not familiar with the Fastpitch magazine? Watch this. You are going to love it. Looks great, right? Want to find more about the #1 coaching tool on the internet? Go to fastpitchmagazine.com today.
Hi, I'm Dr. Richardson, two-time Olympic gold medalist and also ASA Hall of Famer for the class of 2006. Welcome here to the Amateur Softball Association Hall of Fame, and more importantly, sharing the history of the sport of fast-pitch softball. This brings back a lot of memories for me. In 1979, when I was 17 years of age, I made my first USA softball team and was here for the unveiling of this amazing statue that sits in the grand opening, if you would, of the ASA Hall of Fame. I'll never forget when they unveiled this, the United States Pan American team was here, and it was one of those moments where my first thought was, is the runner safe? And I realized, yes, as the umpire is indicating that. But to have a girl standing there with her arms up in the air was very thrilling for me as a young girl who was denied a lot of opportunities with her gifts when I was young. But boy, the future had a lot of great things in store. Let me share those with you. Here we are in the ASA Hall of Fame. The Amateur Softball Association started softball as a national governing body, and there are many of us who want to share the history even more and reach out to many of you so you can hear our stories. And here's mine. As a young girl, Dot Richardson, actually known as Dorothy Richardson, I was the fourth child of 5 to Kenneth and Joyce Richardson. My dad was in the military. I have 2 older sisters, Kathy and Lori. They're 9 and 7 years older. And I have an older brother, Kenny, and a younger brother, Lonnie. And my dad was in the military. We traveled all over the world. I was born in Orlando, Florida. And right away, my dad was commissioned to go to Guam, where my younger brother, Lonnie, was born. And then I remember as we were traveling from England, from first grade to third grade, and then New Mexico, we were all over the world and the country. But these are the things that I remember in sport. As a young girl, it became very evident to me that I was given amazing gifts. God had given me talent in athletics, and I say amazing because it was something different about being able to catch a ball, throw a ball, kick a ball, hit a ball. It was about every time I did it, whether it was running, climbing trees, whatever, I felt alive doing it. That's why I call it amazing. Amazing because it's like I felt so alive just being active. But there was one huge message that society made to me as a young girl. Too bad you were born a girl being athletics, because only boys get the opportunity to play sport. I didn't understand it. And I didn't understand it because of two things. One is I watched my older brother and younger brother play baseball and football, basketball, whatever they wanted. I actually was as good, if not better than them. The other thing was that after school, all of my brother's friends, the boys, they picked me first. So it's kind of strange, it's like, why was I given this gift with no opportunity? And when I'd say my prayers at night, I would ask the Lord that. But you know what? Those are words of a child, because I didn't know what the future would hold. My dad, knowing that I was athletically inclined, he allowed me to practice with the Little League baseball team of my brothers, and he coached them. But I was always that player without a team. I was the bat girl. And my dad did the best he could to get me involved, but I always felt that I was an athlete without a team. And then one day, it happened. My dad retired. We moved back to Orlando, Florida. And as we were there, my brothers joined the Little League team. And my big brother, Kenny, asked me to break in his brand new catcher's mitt. And the key to this is that he knew who had the fastest fastball. Yours truly, right? And I can still remember the pop of that brand new catcher's mitt as I was firing a fastball, imagining I'm a Major League Baseball pitcher. And what's so funny about that is I couldn't even play Little League, but I'm imagining these big dreams. And I'm firing these fastballs and I'm breaking in this catcher's mitt. And then all of a sudden, a game got done, and out from the field walked the head coach over to me and said, "Wow, you got a great arm. How would you like to play on my Little League team?" Are you kidding? Oh my gosh, my prayers were being answered. And as I looked at him in practically the same breath, he said, "Well, we're going to have to cut your hair really short and give you a boy's name. We're going to call you Bob." Have you ever been so close to your dream, but yet the price seemed to be way too high? As much as I wanted this, I just didn't feel right. And I looked at him and I said, "Sir, thank you, but no thank you. If I have to hide who I am, I just don't feel it's right." And so I walked over to meet a friend of mine, Sunday Brown, to play baseball catch. And I share this story, which is the beginning of my athletic story, because it was at that moment that I realized that each of us have a destiny. Each of us have gifts and talents that are meant to be shared, and it doesn't matter. Nobody is going to stop that from happening. And even at that moment, what's kind of funny is I married a Bob years later, so some of my nieces always said, "Oh, really, did he call you Bob?" Yes, he wanted to call me Bob. But as I walked over to this other field and I met Sunday, we hid in right field and played baseball catch, because that was all I knew. And as we're playing baseball catch, this other coach came up to me and said, "Wow, you got a great arm. Do you have a minute to talk to the head coach?" And I was like, "Sure." And I felt like deja vu. This is only like 30 minutes later from this baseball coach asking me to disguise myself as a boy to play Little League baseball. And as we started walking towards the infield, I looked on the infield and no longer were there boys there, there were women. And as I headed to home plate and I started turning, heading to third, out from the third base dugout came the head coach. It wasn't a man, it was a woman. And she looked at me and said, "Have you ever played softball?" And I was like, "No, what is it?" "Oh, it's just like baseball, but the ball's a little bigger. Get on third base, take a few ground balls." And as I'm at third base and I'm fielding this softball, I'm throwing it around the infield and I feel like I belong. All of a sudden she calls me over and she says, "How would you like to play on my Fastpitch softball team?" I was like, yes, yes. My prayers are answered, kind of. The ball's a little bigger, but yeah. And then she said, "Well, how old are you anyway?" And when I told her I was 10 years old, she almost died. The average age of that team, the Union Park Jets, was 22. She looked at me and had that look that parents sometimes get, is when they're going to say no. But instead she said, "Come on, let's go see your mom and dad and see if you can play." Well, we went to our house, and I never will forget this. Instead of going on the side door to our house that we always did, this time I walked through the front door. And I brought the coaching staff of the Union Park Jets. And we sat down in our living room, and Mom and Dad said yes, I could play for the Union Park Jets, even though I was 10, on this women's Class A ASA team. And my dad said, "Well, what position is she going to play?" And the coach, Carol, said, "She'll play third base." He said, "Well, if you're at third, you got to put your glove up to protect your face." I was like, "Dad, what? Come on." He said, "Or you're not going to play." I said, "Okay." Well, I became the leadoff batter and third baseman for the Union Park Jets. And there's always a picture you'll see of me at 10 years of age, and you look at the history, and I'm standing up there tall, just so proud in red, white, and blue. Kind of funny, maybe a little foreshadowing of what my career would be in the future. Well, I just remember that I was so nervous. I'll never forget the first day. But of course, I thank my mom and dad. Mom made me a uniform because I got the uniform jersey top that would fit, but the shorts, they didn't have shorts small enough. So we went and bought some red shorts, and my mom on the side tried to duplicate the stripe of, it was blue with white, on the side to look like my teammates. But here I am playing in the first game, and I was so nervous. I went to that bathroom, I can't even tell you how many times. And the rest you could say is history, because at the end of that season, I made the All-Star team. And we were going to head to Chattanooga, Tennessee for a huge national championship tournament for All-Stars. I thought this was big time now. This was it. Well, here I am playing 1 week before we're leaving for this national championship. I'm in the backyard swinging like any other normal young girl, not, swinging from one limb of a tree to another, pretending I'm a gymnast. And as I dismounted on the hood of an old car that my dad had parked under the tree, I landed on the hood and I lost my balance. And I looked back and I realized that there was a board with nails sticking up on the ground. And I gave this extra little push, and I knew, wow, what a great athletic move, because I'm going to miss that board with nails sticking up. And I did, but instead I landed barefooted on a sickle, which is like a machete knife with a broomstick handle. And I severely cut my right foot. And my younger brother Lonnie was there with his friend Mark, and they helped me to the house, or my big sister Kathy was there. And the only thing she was concerned about with seeing this blood gushing out of my foot was, don't come in the house, Mom's gonna go crazy. Blood's all over the place. So anyway, she brought me a towel, we wrapped it up, and she was old enough to drive me to the emergency room. And I remember, I blew my chance. As I'm going to the emergency room, I'm like, what was I thinking? I challenge you, have you ever felt like you blew your chance? I'm telling you, it can't happen, because everything happens for a reason. And the ultimate reason is for your good. You might think you should head in this direction, and for me, I thought it was baseball, but instead it was softball. I didn't have to compromise. We don't have to hide who we are. Each of us are going to have our opportunities. I challenge you to be ready for your opportunities. And here was mine. I got stitched up, and instead of going to the tournament, I couldn't play. I hobbled my way up into an instructional league tryout that was being held by the Orlando Rebels. The Orlando Rebels, I knew about them because my Aunt Jane had brought me to watch them play. And these were legends in our sport. I mean, Snooky Mulder, Stephanie Tenney, the second baseman, Mary Lou Cushing, Sissy Zollinger, Kathy Stillwell, oh my gosh, Judy Hall. These were like legends in our game. I remember just watching them, and with the Union Park Jets, we were in a tournament they hosted, but we never got a chance to play against them. And I always thought, one day, if I could play for the Orlando Rebels, I made it. Well, here I am. My mom is bringing me up to an instructional league the Orlando Rebels are hosting to teach all the young girls in Central Florida more about fast-pitch softball. And as I hobbled my way up to that table out in front, there were the legends I didn't know at the time. But you look at Gene Davis was there, Pat Walker was there, and Marge Ricker, the head coach. And when they told me how old you had to be, I was too young. I couldn't even go to this instruction league. But Marge, as she walked up and saw me, she remembered me playing for the Union Park Jets. And she said, let her in. Oh my gosh, it was awesome. All of these kids in Central Florida were there. And the Orlando Rebels were the instructors. And we got timed to first base. Well, mine was awful because I hobbled my way. I was running on the outside of my foot, just hoping I wouldn't burst open the sutures, right, in my foot and the stitches. But I remember we had to bunt. We fielded some balls, some pop-ups, and I made a team. Are you kidding me? I'm so excited. Well, everyone made a team, but I made my team. And I, for 3 months, was on a team being led by the Orlando Rebels. And I was learning the game, and we were playing games. We had practices and everything. And then all of a sudden, at the end of the instructional league, the head coach, Marge Ricker, comes up to me, and she said, I've talked to your parents. They said the decision is yours. How would you like to be the Batgirl for the Orlando Rebels? Are you kidding me? I was like, I would love to be the Batgirl. So the next year, instead of playing, I was a Batgirl and learning from the legends in the game. It was 1974. I'll never forget it, because we hosted in Orlando the national championship for ASA women's majors. I got to see, it was like a movie. I got to see the best of the best. Are you kidding me? I saw Joan Joyce, Irene Shea, Sharon Backus, Willie Rose, Mickey Davis. I saw these legends. I mean, and they were right there in front of me, and I made a commitment. I was going to be the best Batgirl I could be. I don't think there's ever been a Batgirl who has sprinted as fast as I did, obviously when time was called, to pick up the bats. I got to play catch with the left fielder. And during that season, this happened. All of a sudden, the Orlando Rebels are beating an Alabama team 10-0. Marge looks into the dugout at us Batgirls and she says, Dot, Bemmy, get into the game. What? Like, yes, get into the game. Bemmy, you take left, Dot, you take right field. Is this legal? Yes, Batgirl's on the official roster. Get into right field. I don't know, but that's what she told me. I don't know if it was legal, but we're in the game. And I'm telling you, anything that could happen to me in a game seemed to happen. When I got up to bat, there's a runner at second base. I got a base hit up the middle. The runner rounded third and scored. I got an RBI, run batted in. While I was at first base, I look over at Marge and she gives me the steal, touching of the watch. And I stole second base. At second base, next batter, I got a base hit. I rounded third and I scored a run. In right field, I got a routine fly ball, no big deal, right? But then I got a line shot. I scooped up and threw the ball to first base to get the runner out. Sweet, right? Oh my gosh, it was amazing. At the end of the game, what does coach tell me? Come on, pick up the bats, get everything ready. I mean, it made the front page. Let me tell you, when we played, there was never less than 1,000 people watching us. We were on the front cover of the Orlando Star, now known as the Orlando Sentinel. I mean, Larry Green, he wrote articles all the time. It was, I'm telling you, as professional as you could get, this semi-pro level. Well, next thing you know, they started ASA travel ball organization, and for younger girls. Well, I was picked on the Little Rebels. And the Little Rebels now, advancing from being a Batgirl, at the Little Rebels, I'll never forget, we're in left field, and Marge walks over to me, and she calls me over and says, Dot, I talked to your parents, and they said the decision is up to you. You can either be a big frog in a small pond and play with the Little Rebels, or you could be a little frog and play in a big pond with the Orlando Rebels. I said, I want to be a little frog. I want to play for the Orlando Rebels. And history was made. At the age of 13, I became the youngest girl ever to play women's softball, women's majors. Well, all of a sudden, I started having this dream, and I want to share it with you. I had a dream now of being a shortstop, and the ball was hit up the middle. And I'm running as fast as I can to get in front of it, but I can't. So I dive, do a forward roll, get up and throw the girl out at first base. This was my dream. Well, I'm 13 years of age, and I'm a right fielder for the Orlando Rebels. And as I'm in right field, next thing you know, here is the papers. Youngest girl ever to play women's major ball. All these fans, 2,000 people came out to watch us. I was being interviewed. What does it feel like to be 13 years of age, playing with these women? Their average age is probably 26. And I said, I don't know what it feels like. I mean, it really isn't about age. It's really about, am I good enough to be playing with them? So here we are, that year, 1975. The reason that I am playing and have the opportunity is because Joan Joyce and Billie Jean King had met together and decided they wanted to start a women's professional league in our sport. And this professional league in our sport, the buzz started talking about it. But I had a chance to play with the Orlando Rebels because the superstars in ours decided to form the Orlando Suns, and we were going to compete against this women's major team. Well, let me take you in the first infield that I had and took a ground ball doing infield before a game. And when I fired the ball from right field as a 13-year-old to third base, I'll never forget standing ovation in the crowd at C.L. Varner Stadium. I mean, it was amazing to me that the fans were giving a standing ovation for simply throwing a softball. But it was amazing, let me tell you. Just the memories of competing with women who were so awesome had me elevate my game. Here we are playing the Orlando Suns that used to be the Orlando Rebels, and we are playing them to determine who's going to go to the national championship in Salt Lake City in Utah. And my parents had left, and my big sister Kathy and her husband Scott, they had to take care of me. So they're watching me. And I think when they brought me to practice and they brought me to these regional competition, they had no idea what women's majors was about, and they got addicted. And this is how we won that tournament. Here I am now competing against Snooki Mulder, Stephanie Tenney, all of these, Kathy Strahan, who went with the Suns, and I'm sorry, Stephanie Tenney had stayed with the Rebels. But here we are in the championship game against the Orlando Suns, and Donna Terry is up to bat with a runner on first and second base, and they decide to intentionally walk Donna Terry. Well, I'm the leadoff batter. Donna Terry was the number 9 batter. And I'll never forget as Marge Ricker is walking over to me, and she's ready to tell me something about, okay, kid, you can do it, whatever she's going to say. All of a sudden, I heard the bat contact with the ball. Donna Terry had reached out in the intentional walk and ripped a ball, a base hit up the middle, and our teammate comes running around third and scores, and we win the regional championship, heading to the nationals. The fans went berserk. My sister and brother-in-law went crazy as they fell in love, like so many people do, watching women's fast-pitch softball. So here I am at the national championship in Salt Lake City in 1975, and when I scored the first run, this fan had taken a picture. And I remember this because the Rebestos Breakettes were like the legends. They were the best, number 1 in the nation, and that year, they had won the national championship as well. But there was a fan that came up to me, and he gave me this little photo that shows me stepping on home plate. And he says, Dot, one day you're going to appreciate this, your first run that you ever scored in a national championship. Well, fast forwarding to the next year in 1976, what impacted me the most was the discussions then that Joan Joyce and Billie Jean King had formed the first professional league in our sport. And I actually, at this point, kept having this dream that I shared with you as a shortstop. Well, the national championships in 1976 were in Stratford, Connecticut. And I'll never forget it because it was this centennial of the United States of America. And it was the first time my younger brother came out to Stratford and watched. But here I am in the tournament, and Marge Ricker brought over this woman to me. Never had seen her before. Beautiful woman, coming up to me, just had this class about her, this elegance. And Marge looked at me and said, Dot, this is Bertha Ticky, the one and only. And she had a ball that Bertha had signed, and she gave it to me and said, one day you'll appreciate this autographed ball from Bertha Ticky. As I'm watching the game, introduced is Barbara Rinalda. What a tournament she had. 6 foot tall, dominance on the mound, leading the Breakettes, Sue Winquist in center field. They were expected, the Breakettes, to lose because all of the Breakettes, Sharon Backus, Willie Rose, Stephanie Tenney, all of these players had elected to go professional and play in the league with the Connecticut Falcons. So what happened? The Breakettes ended up winning again the national championship with all of these new players. But it was something I'll never forget because in 1975, a year earlier, when I played with the Breakettes, we traveled in the Atlantic Coast League. And as we headed up there in a motorhome, we went to Stratford, and there were 4,000 people in the stands. And the dugouts were sunken down. And my first experience, okay, was running out of that dugout, and I tripped with my cleats. I tripped on my the shoelaces, and I fell in front of all these people, and I got up so fast. It was amazing. I don't think anyone saw me fall, but here I am in right field. But I saw the legends, and I played against them. And there's one thing that I have to tell you. You know when someone is a legend, when you can remember what you did against them. My first at bat in 1975 versus the Rebecca Breakhead with Joan Joyce pitching, the legend. I got a base hit. I got a base hit up the middle. And as I was standing on first base, not even thinking anything about it, I looked over to get the signal from Marge Ricker, and she almost was like dying. I mean, she like, oh my gosh, she couldn't believe a 13-year-old got a base hit off the legend Joan Joyce. And let me tell you, I looked in the dugout, and everybody in the dugout was like flabbergasted. It was crazy. But you know what? You know when someone is great, especially a pitcher, by how they respond to a first batter who gets on. She struck out, Joan Joyce, every single one of us, it seemed like, for the rest of the game. The legends. Well, now they were starting and committing to the sport a first professional league. And they were playing for the Connecticut Falcons. St. Louis Hummers. I mean, this league was heading on, and it started to make an impact in our sport. Well, for me, playing with ASA, still women's major ball, in 1977 was when I first became a shortstop. And I had that dream, right, as a shortstop. How crazy was that? I started in right field. The next year I was at third base, and now I am a shortstop. 2 years having this dream over and over again. Check it out. Ironically, in Atlanta, Georgia, the Orlando Rebels were playing the Atlanta Lorelei Ladies. And here I am at shortstop. And as I'm fielding this ball, it's hit up the middle. I'm running as fast as I can to get it. But I can't, so I dive. See the ball in my glove, do a forward roll, get up and throw the girl out of first base. 3,500 people watching this game stood up screaming. It was total pandemonium. My teammates, they were giving high fives, low fives, but what was I doing? I was standing there frozen because I realized I had just lived that dream I had had over and over again for 2 years. And I love to share this because guess what? It's the first time at 15 years of age that I realized how powerful our minds are. It's about having a dream and willing to work hard to live that dream. And it's something that all of us had the opportunity to do, being denied an opportunity to play as a young girl. A lot of you might be realizing, why isn't life easier? Why is it so tough? Life isn't meant to be easy. The challenges that we have, the Lord will never give you anything that you cannot handle. And that moment in living that dream, I realized how powerful our minds are. If we can imagine it, if we're willing to work hard for it, if we want something so badly that we even dream about it, it can happen. It can happen. Let me share with you, as we go through the history of walking through this Hall of Fame and leading you into my story as it continues with the legends.
Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed today's show. It was something different for you. And make sure to come back and see part 2 of the Fastpitch softball history we're working on with softball legend Dr. Richardson. Please tell your friends about the show and about the Fastpitch TV website. Make sure and take a look at the website to keep up with the future shows in this series, okay? Like I said, that's fastpitch.tv. Until next time, this is Gary Leland saying goodbye, and thanks for watching.
This show is a member of the Fastpitch TV network. See all of our shows and blogs at www.fastpitch.tv.